You know, it's different for everybody, and you should, you know, this isn't a one size fits all thing. That's why we all hopefully chose being a writer. You want the freedom to explore whatever you want to explore, but it's amazing how much we'll start editing ourselves and the tyranny of the self, you know, whatever, judging and, oh, will this sell, and then you're locked up before you know it, and you're writing crap.
But I do think one of the things, I do think one of the things that Jessica does really well, though, is she's able to, once she's figured out what her themes are and what her issues are, she's able to kind of divorce herself from the deeply personal enough to write a really interesting story in an interesting world. So there's sort of an interesting conflict there, because if it's too personal and too much about yourself, you can get into that problem of you write autobiographical scripts that aren't interesting and aren't good stories. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, thank you. That's very nice. Were you kind of trying to say it's like Michael Jordan? He doesn't know how he looks when he's in the air?
I wasn't at all, but that's why you're a great writer, Jessica.
And I am this.
I'm not saying that at all, but it sounds fantastic.
I am this obnoxious. It's true. I think it's good to be obnoxious, by the way. I think you should, like, I read all my characters, and I do voices, and I listen to music, and, I mean, that's my style. Something, you know, what works for you is probably going to be totally different than what works for a lunatic.
We might sing later. We have a song we sometimes do when we're
really,
we may sing. It might happen.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you could talk about the teen market, since you've obviously had a lot of success. If you have any kind of insights, like how to write for the teen market, how to make intelligent teen characters, but also, you know.
Great. Yeah, I absolutely am a fan of the teen market. Well, first of all, don't write a teen movie. Write a good movie that happens to be about people that age. People. They're people. They're not a market, first of all. They're people. So and again, theme for me, I was most damaged in high school, was when the biggest wound happened for me. So I'm constantly going back and trying to relive, you know, and heal the wound. A couple things. If you're, whatever market you're writing for, teen or otherwise, you know, I watch what teenagers watch. I watch Real World Road Rules Gauntlet on MTV. I watch TRL. If I go into a meeting, I want to know what was #1 on TRL yesterday. And if you're writing for teenagers, you should be watching TRL once a week. If not for nothing else than the advertising in between the songs. You need to know what your audience watches. You need to check out One Tree Hill. I know you may not want to. It may be painful, but you might, you know, you need to watch what they watch. Listen to what they listen to. I think that's very important. Not every writer needs to do that. I think it makes you, especially in a room, it's very persuasive when you have that data. You know, when I can say what the biggest selling Chingy ringtone is, I guarantee the executive doesn't know, you know, what Chingy, let alone what the ringtone is. So you want to know what what your audience is consuming. A. B, if you're writing for the teen market, specifically, you know, they're very inventive with language. You can't, again, it's like the Hollywood script market. You can't try and chase a trend. You'll be too late to the game. So the trend will be over by the time you get there. So they invent language really fast. I just invent language. I didn't hear Pariah Carey when I was walking around, you know, and Stick It. I didn't hear somebody say Pariah Carey. I invented it. And therefore you're ahead of the curve, you know, and they'll go with you there because they invent language so quickly. Anybody?
Yes. Over here. Woohoo. Wait for the mic.
Wait for it.
Be patient. Wait for it.
Thanks. I hope this question is helpful to other people besides me. I was just curious, when you went from being a journalist and copywriter to kind of doing the screenwriting in France, how you trained your brain to be more imaginative and tell a different kind of story. In other words, you know, how you kind of shifted gears.
Well, I think one of the problems with my journalism was I was always too imaginative. I think I was really flowery, right? Like, I cringe when I read my stories now. They're so flowery. It's so like, look at me, I'm the writer, I need attention. Like, I'm still that way. But so movies are such a good form for me because action description is so much fun. Like, I love action description. I love engaging the reader, and like I use action description in, you know, a lot of people don't like this, but I use it as a dialogue. I'm trying to engage you in the script and seduce you. But yeah, making that switch was really hard. You just had to figure it out. You know, success is a terrible teacher. Failure is a really good teacher, and I was definitely teaching myself and clumsy and clunky and falling down, and you know, I didn't have a script program. I couldn't afford. I was doing tabs and spacebar, okay, through entire scripts. So that gave me a lot of time to learn and figure it out, and also get really muscular. I think it helped me be a very efficient writer because I didn't have the final draft when I started, honestly. So I just didn't waste words. And I think screenplays are a great, you know, I think we all know we hate the I mean, I'm not a, excuse me, I'm not a fan of the overly wordy screenplay. I like a real efficient, you know, let's get to the point, come on. Let's do it. I like short screenplays. I don't think you should be writing stuff over 115 pages, 120 max, I got to tell you.
It was awesome working for her. She was like, 99. Just throw it in
99.
Dana, you're done. I was like,
and when you're shooting a movie, too, you got to get it down. You know, they're constantly asking you to cut it. So I'm not a fan of length in screenplays. Why are you laughing?
yes.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
you're gonna get a mic. Stop talking. Okay, you can start talking now.
You just mentioned your descriptions.
Yes.
How do you write your descriptions? In what way do you write descriptions that move your story forward? How do you use your descriptions to engage
I
the
can answer
story?
this one because I've read many of Jessica's scripts and say that it's like she's bringing you into a club and you feel like you're a friend of hers at school and like she's the cool person and she's putting her arm around you and being like, okay, here, come on. You can be in my club with me for a second. And so you feel excited and you feel like you're being brought into this world. And by the end of it, you feel like you're a part of it and you're putting yourself into it. Is someone's cell phone setting off?
Maybe.
So that was my comment, but you go ahead.
Thank you. I think that's true. I think it's like, come here, look at this. Come here, look at this. Come here, look at this. It's like if you were a fly on the room of your scene, what angle do you want to watch it from? Where do you want to be in the scene? You know, you're almost thinking like a director when it's the description. What's the most interesting detail in the scene? Is it the way they flick a cigarette and stamp it out and grit their teeth? Is it the way they chew gum? Is it the way they're zoning out and looking out into space? What is it? Where do you want to be as a viewer? And that's what description in action is for me. I am the privileged fly on the wall, and I'm going to give you the tour. And I'm not going to bother with the details. You know, I don't need to tell you everything about the house. It's a house of a certain class and kind. That's it. You know, that'll get solved when you're shooting it. Unless it's really driving your character forward, like you have a character like Beautiful Mind, obviously you need to go into the details of, you know, what's torn up and what's on the wall and what kind of ink, if, you know, he's scribbling on these pieces with. Just where do you want to be? And what's the most fascinating thing? What does it reveal about the character, if possible, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'd like to hear about writing from the inside out.
Yep. Hi, I remember you. You were at the last panel. Okay, so we can kind of go to the sheet. I'll talk a little bit about polarity first because this is a big, you know, a lot of times in scripts you run out of juice in the second act and you don't know where to go, and I find it's usually because the characters don't have enough juice. So I'm going to talk about polarity, and what I mean by that is a battery has a positive charge and a negative charge, and that creates tension, you know, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Tension, energy. What else does it create? There's some kind. Does anybody understand the reaction in a battery? Would they like to explain it? Good idea. So how I think of polarity is opposites on a spectrum. So a lot of times you have a character, right? And we're always writing these kind of broad, all-American girl. She's the homecoming queen. We use these shorthands in scripts that are helpful for the reader, but deadly for us as writers because we tend to get really lazy. You've said, oh, she's home, you know, oh, she's a goody two-shoes. Now, this is where we get into the difference between character and caricature. Most scripts are caricature. They are broad. We are saying all-American girl, and we don't say anything. We don't know why she's the all-American girl. We've just given a really broad description, so a lot of readers will get it very quickly. But as a writer, you have to know why is she an all-American girl, or why is she homecoming queen, or why is he, you know, the worst guy you'll ever meet. You know, a guy you wouldn't want to meet in a back alley. Whatever we can all list a ton of cliches that are used in scripts.